Hi, my name is Fred Becker. I'm the director of Becker Institute, and I'm here to help you raise self-reliant and responsible children, to show you how to create the pro-social opportunities so your child can develop the social and emotional skills they need to live happy, healthy, and successful lives. So let's get to our first email question. This question comes from a mother in San Diego. I have 4 children ranging in ages of 5 to 15. Whenever my children ask for something and I say no, they whine and nag and beg for me to change my mind. This only gets me angry and upset. This is no fun. How can I stop this action? Signed, Claire. Well, Claire, this is the most common problem I think parents have in our society today. When their child wants something, what they do is they ask their parents. Their parents tell them no because they don't want them to have that or to do something. And so what the children do is they whine, complain, or keep nagging until you change your mind or until you get very mad and upset, and then they know they've pushed you too far and then they back off. Now the question most parents ask me is, why do children do this? And the answer is very simple. You train them to. So now we have to untrain them and give them another way of handling the situation other than nagging you. So let's stop now and set up a scenario where you'll see what happens in a normal situation. We're here with a mother of 2 girls, a 9-year-old and 11-year-old, to model what we see every day as parents. So what I want you to do is I want you to play your 11-year-old daughter, and who wants to go over to Cindy's house, and she's going to ask her dad permission. And of course Dad's going to say no, and you do what your daughter would naturally do. Okay?
Right.
So let's see how this goes.
All right. Dad, I'm going to go over to Cindy's house.
I know you're not, honey.
Dad, but I promise.
It's too late.
I
Dinner's
want
gonna
to go.
be...
You never let me go. Dad.
Don't argue with me. You're not going to go.
Dad, I want to go.
Listen,
I'm going to go.
would you shut up and listen to me?
No,
I am so
to go.
tired. Does this look familiar to you? Notice I told her no. But what did she hear? Most of you know what she heard. She heard nothing. And why? Because she wanted to go. She wanted her way. So even though I said no, it never registered in her conscious mind. So all she knew how to do was to argue until she made me mad and I sent her to her room. So let's look at this again, and I will show you how to change this so your child understands when no means no. Let's take this from the top again. Now we're going to do this again. And this time I want you to see the difference. Okay? So exactly the same modeling. Let's do it again. Take 2.
Okay. Dad, I'm going over to Cindy's house.
No.
Dad. Dad.
What was the difference in that no from the one before?
There was no one to argue with.
And why was that no different?
Because it's
What did I do?
You didn't want to communicate with me?
Yeah, I left. In other words, the first no, I stayed. And I argued with you. The second no, I left. So which no did you interpret as being no? The first or the second?
The second, when you walked away.
Because I did a physical maneuver to have you understand that this time I mean business. For you, what I want you to do is when you tell your child no, as soon as they start to argue, turn around and walk away so that they understand that no means no. In the scenario you just watched, you noticed how in the first role play, the parent stayed there and argued with the child. In other words, what the parent does is stays there and gives the child permission to argue. I often think it's something that we really want to do. It's like a parent standing there and saying, okay, come on kid, give it your best shot and let's see who can win this argument, you or me. But ultimately what happens is, just like in the role play we did, the parent gets mad at the child, and the child gets mad at the parent, and there's punishment or a person blows up. Now, the most common question that parents ask me is, well, if I walk away, the child will follow me. Well, of course, because they want whatever they want, and they're not going to give up. Remember, you train them to argue with you, and they're not going to stop until they get what they want. So what I suggest to parents is to have an egg timer in their house. These egg timers can be bought at 99-cent stores. And what I suggest you do is have 5 or 6 of them strategically placed throughout your house. And the reason I suggest 5 or 6 is because they mysteriously disappear as we start using them as a technique to train our children to wait and accept our no. If you're working with children under the age of 5, what I suggest you do is get the little 3-minute egg timers, the ones that have the sand that runs down the hourglass. But always mark one end, because kids are smart. And what they'll do is, when you give them the egg timer and let the sand run out, they'll tip it over and tell you their time's up. So as you walk away, if the child comes after you still nagging, you go to one of your egg timers. You grab it and you turn it to 5 minutes. And then you turn to your child and you say, when this time is up, when these 5 minutes are up and the bell goes off, we'll talk. And then continue to walk away. Now the child still might not like that and continue to follow you. All you do is you turn to them and say, oh, is the time up already? Not by my watch, it's not. I told you when the bell goes off, we'll talk. If the child persists, go in your room and close the door. And I've often told parents, if they still persist, go for a walk around the block for 5 minutes. I doubt if your child's going to follow you. Now, the first time you do this, you might have a few problems because the child's not going to give up. But after you use this 4 or 5 times, you will see the child start to accept the no. And this is important because what you're doing is you're training your child to understand that sometimes no means no, and not to argue with authority figures. Most of your children don't have this skill yet, but they need to develop it. Think of the child who never learns to accept a no and always argues with any adult authority. What will happen when they go to school? The teacher will say no, and the child will argue with the teacher. And finally, the teacher will get mad, and the child will be disciplined. More importantly, the teacher will think of this child as being a problem child. I work with a lot of law enforcement, and one of the prime complaints that they have is when they work with juveniles. When they go up to a group of juveniles and they ask them to take their hands out of their pockets for safety reasons, the juveniles will usually retort with something like this. Why do I have to? I didn't do anything. Why are you always picking on me? In other words, they're hassling the policeman because they didn't learn to accept a no or accept a command. I want to thank you for listening to this little skill-based exercise, and I want you to try it. I want you to try it a number of times. You don't have to do it all the time, but do it 2 or 3 times a week and see if it doesn't work for you. If you have any questions or if you have problems, email me at beckerinstitute.com